Hello everyone and welcome back to this video series on how to make an aircraft in Autodesk Fusion 360. Now, I've been having a look at my video analytics from the past few days, and I must say I'm really grateful to have all of you supporting me, and engagement rates are going up, so it's really nice to see that. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I do have that too, so you can watch out for any more updates or request any videos if you like. Okay, so let's get straight to the tutorial. So last time we focused on the details of the wing section. So we cut out the wing section into the airspeed, the air brake, the ailerons, the flaps, and also in this case the slats. We also modeled the flap track beams, or the pylons, or the pods, whatever you like to call them. Now in this tutorial we're going to be doing something similar. So we're going to be looking at the vertical and the horizontal stabilizer, and we're going to be cutting out the control surfaces for that. Okay, so let's work on the horizontal stabilizer first. So I am going to go to my horizontal stabilizer component and I'm going to activate it. And to make my life a little bit easy, I'm going to hide my fuselage, my wing, and my vertical stabilizer. And then I'm going to go to the top view. Now, I'm going to mention this once again. My blueprints are very detailed, and I probably won't be going into that much detail in this video series. So what I am going to do for the horizontal stabilizer is I will first cut out the elevator, and then I will cut out the trim tool, the trim tab. So if I just go to Google, and you can see that this is the general sort of look of the aircraft. So we've got the stabilizer itself, which we already have. Then we're going to cut out the elevator, which I just talked about, and then also the trim tab, or the balance tab in this case it's called. So the elevator is basically responsible for creating the pitch for the aircraft. So that's when the aircraft goes like this. And the trim tab is basically used to allow it to stay in that position if required. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a sketch on the top plane, and just going to zoom into the horizontal stabilizer here. And I'm going to first sketch out the elevator. So that one is this surface right over here. And I'm just going to extend it all the way till there, because then the body will be split completely. Okay, then I'm also going to repeat the process for the trim tab. So from here to here and just straight down again. If you'd like to know more about what each of these control surfaces do, I'm sure there are some really great resources available on the internet. So all you need to do is just type in control surfaces of aircraft, and you'll find a bunch of good resources where you can learn more about them. So if I add my bodies, you'll see that these are the sketches that I created overlapping the blueprints. Okay, so I'm going to bring my bodies back and I'm going to finish the sketch. And now what I'm going to do is split body, and click on this as my split, the body that needs to be split, and the splitting tool is going to be this one right there. Okay, making sure everything looks good. Yep, and if I press OK, there we go. That's our elevator complete. Okay, and then I'm going to bring back my sketch, and I'm going to repeat the same process for the trim. So the body I want to split this time is the elevator, and I want to create the trim tool out of it. And voila, that is looking good. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the horizontal stabilizer, at least visually. Okay, so now I'm going to activate everything back in its original place, and I'm going to bring back my fuselage, wing, and my vertical stabilizer as well. Cool, awesome. So now that we're done with the horizontal stabilizer, let's move to the vertical stabilizer. Okay, so now I'm going to activate my vertical stabilizer component, and I'm going to hide my horizontal, wing, and my fuselage section. So now all we need to focus on is the vertical stabilizer. So in the case of a 737, the rudder, which is the control surface on the vertical stabilizer, there's only one rudder. And correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but the bigger aircraft like an Air 380 will have the rudder split in two. But in this case, I think it's only one. So I'm going to create a sketch on the right plane this time. And then I'm just going to follow this path over here. So I'm going to take that line and just follow that there. Obviously, if you're making a different aircraft, then I recommend you have a look at what your rudder looks like and take it from there. Okay, so I'm done with the sketch. Again, I'm just going to save this file. So I'm going to finish the sketch here, split body, this one, and the splitting tool we're going to use is this new line that we've just created, and press OK. And it's as easy as that. So now if I bring back everything else, we pretty much have done our control surfaces for the Empennage section. Okay, so now that we're done with the modeling side of the Empennage section, what we can do is go ahead and add a appearance if you want. So my standard library is usually the horizontal stabilizer is white, so I'm going to add my white appearance there, and my vertical stabilizer is actually blue. And you'll see later on I will make a video where I will go more in detail as to how to make your own library inside of Fusion 360. So a library, if you don't know what that is, it's basically the paint or the look of the aircraft after it's been modeled. So for example, Emirates will have its own paint styling, Qatar will have its own, Air India will have its own, British Airways will have its own. So it's basically the look of an aircraft, and I think it's an important deal basically. Especially if you're doing it for aesthetics. Okay, so that's it for the modeling side of things. Now, since this video is so short, I was just thinking if we could go ahead and do some cleanup. So when I say cleanup, what I mean is if I go to my display settings and visual style shaded with hidden edges, you'll see that there's a lot of overlap happening in some areas that's not really needed. So again, if you're doing this for RC, you can probably skip this part, or if you want to, you can still continue. But basically, you'll notice that the vertical stabilizer is sort of inside the fuselage here, and that's usually not the case. As in, if you want this to be a much cleaner surface, you can go ahead and do that. Again, visually, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So if I just do that, you won't even notice that there's something overlapping. So in this case, my vertical stabilizer is overlapping with my fuselage. My horizontal stabilizer is also overlapping with my fuselage because remember we started the sketch from the mid plane, so naturally it's inside the fuselage right now. And the same thing for the wing as well. You'll see that it's sort of inside the fuselage. If you don't have a problem with that, you can skip it. But in case you want to, I'm only going to show it once. I don't really mind it being like this because it's more visual again. But let me show you a way to do it anyways. So if you go to the combine tool here, and the target body is this one, the fuselage, and the tool body is going to be our vertical stabilizer. So instead of saying join, just say cut. And you'll see that what it's going to do is it's basically going to use the vertical stabilizer as a cutting body, and it's going to create that space inside of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on Keep Tools as well, and I'm going to press OK. And you'll see what this would have done now is if I hide my vertical stabilizer, it's created this hole in there. Alternatively, what you could do is go back to our combine, and instead of saying the target body being the fuselage and the tool body being the vertical stabilizer, you could do it the other way around. So if I do target body is my vertical stabilizer and the tool body is my fuselage, and again, making sure that it's on cut and keep tools, and you press OK. So now if I hide the vertical stabilizer, the fuselage is still as it is, but now if I hide the fuselage, you'll see that this has now been cut. So now if I do this and go back to visual style hidden edges, you'll see there's no more overlap anymore. So that body has basically, the intersection of that body has been removed. Okay, so one final thing before we finish this tutorial. So in my horizontal stabilizer, I'm just going to open my bodies, and so H stabilizer is now our trim tool. So I'm just going to rename this. So I'm going to call this my trim tab. Okay, horizontal stabilizer tip is still the correct one. This one is our main stabilizer, so I'm just going to call this H stabilizer. And this one is our elevator, so I'm just going to rename that to elevator. Okay, and that's it for the horizontal stabilizer. But for the vertical stabilizer, I want to repeat the same process. So vertical stabilizer is now the wrong one. The tip is still the tip, and this one is what we basically want as the stabilizer. So I'm going to call this one V stabilizer. and this one is going to be our rudder. And that's pretty much it. So now if I go back to visual style, visible edges only, and if I right click on the cube and go to perspective, you'll see that this is starting to look even more amazing than before. So as we as we progress through these tutorials, the aircraft will look even better than before. So in the next tutorial, we are going to be focusing on, if I bring my canvas back on, come on, there we go. We're going to be focusing on the engines. So the engines and basically the attachment from the wing to the engines. And if we have a bit of time to spare, then we'll also make this sort of bulkhead section next time. Okay guys, so thank you for watching. Once again, if you have any problems, please do leave them in the comments below. If you do not have any problems and you think these tutorials are going great for you, please also leave those in the comments below. As always, I will leave the Fusion file on my website where you can go ahead and download it if you want. And that's pretty much it. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.